Hello Captains, and welcome to a help desk tutorial. Today we'll be going over how to submit a Hailout. Hailouts are also known as trip notification or a trip declaration. All a Hailout really is a rough plan that you're sending to the ACCSP, letting them know that you plan on taking a trip, you plan on fishing, and the appropriate places that you're leaving and returning, and also the date and time that you are leaving and returning. Before you begin your trip notification, you should have your favorites set up in the favorites section of your app. If you have not done so, we do have videos to direct you on how to do that. So you can pause this video now and go and watch the video on how to set up your favorites, and once that's done, you can always return to this video. To begin our Hailout, we're going to the button at the bottom of the screen. Now this screen is what your home screen should look like when you log in. And you see the trip notification button down at the bottom. So I'm going to tap that. And if you get confused, you can see that up at the top of the screen it does say Hailout and it does say trip declaration. This is a different format from what your electronic reporting report looks like. And this just kind of sets up the framework for that. So going through, we're going to select trip type as charter, and our vessel is going to be our NIMS test vessel, using our NIMS SER, our NIMS Southeast vessel permit, and I'm going to select that, and again I'm going to select my NIMS Southeast permit. For start port, I am going to select Charlotte, Florida. You can see that it is popping up as one of my favorites. You're allowed to have more than one favorite, but for my account right now, I just have one favorite because it is the one that I am docked in and I come in and out of the most. My end port is also going to be the Charlotte port in Florida. Scrolling down, you can see that we're starting to get into the trip start date and end date information. So my trip did start today, Monday the 4th. And I'm going to have it start at 10 a.m. And my trip is going to end on the same day. And is going to end at 5 p.m. When it asks if you're intending to fish, be sure to select the answer that's most appropriate for your fishing trip. Today, yes, I am intending to fish. And the gear type for this trip was hook and line. Now that you can see that I filled out all of that information, it's important to press submit. Now, in order for the trip declaration to go through, you do have to be connected to Wi-Fi. You can tell that this was successfully submitted because of the pink calendar icon at the top of the page. And this is just indicating that you have submitted a Hailout, but you have not yet completed the trip report. So from here, the next step is to obviously begin your trip as you would any other trip. But as you're on that trip, be sure you are filling out your report. So to do that, I'm just going to tap the entry in my logbook with the pink calendar symbol. And you can see that that's bringing us into a standard trip report. Now, we do have other videos on how to complete an electronic report, but I'm going to just kind of zoom through it real quick for you. So you can see on our trip setup page, we have all of the information that we filled out in our Hailout. So we have our charter, our vessel as NIMS the test boat, and our permit as the NIMS SER, our NIMS Southeast Region permit. Moving forward again to our trip details page, and you can see again that some of the information that we filled out on our last trip, or on our last Hailout, is still in there. Now, it may have you go down and answer some questions. If you have done a similar trip before, then all of this should be autofilled. but I'm doing a little bit different trip this time. So of course, go through, and there were 2 crew members, there were 7 anglers on board, number of paying passengers was also 7. Total trip fee was $50, gasoline used 2.5, and cost about 2.5. You can see that there is a section at the bottom of the screen to add notes if you wanted to add any notes, and these notes do stay with your device should you want to keep them. Moving forward, you can see that we are talking now about our areas fished. So up at the top, our primary area fished was federal waters, and the waters fished was U.S. unknown. Moving down, you can see that much of this data is auto-filled. It's auto-filled because I've done a similar trip in the past, and I'm just going to leave it this way because all of this information is correct. But moving down, you can see that my gear type is hook and line. My gear quantity is 5. My number of lines is also 5. My bottom depth is 22 fathoms. The minimum depth where fishing occurred in feet was 22 feet. And the maximum depth in feet is 50 feet. Our target species today was some red barbier and red drum. Just tapping OK to close that. And our location today, you can actually use the map and zoom out and drop a pin where you were fishing. Pressing OK to close. You can also input your location information by putting a manual latitude and longitude. But for now, this is fine. There's another note section down at the bottom. And moving forward, this is your information about when your trip started and ended. So you can see that much of this information is auto-filled from our Hailout. You can see the date and the start time is auto-filled. You will have to re-enter the end time just because it is subject to change. But again, we're going to end at 5 p.m. exactly. And the hours fished was about 6. Moving forward on our catches page, you can see that I have my favorites up at the top. But if I had any catch to put in, this is where I would report my catch. Today on my fishing trip, there was no catch, so I'm going to move along to the offloads page by tapping the button at the bottom. And on the offloads page, you can see that I have no catch to report. So I am going to tap the trip report button. Alright, so on the trip report page, you can see that I have selected the trip most relevant to me, the one that I just filled out, I want to report. And I'm going to tap the button that certifies that my information is correct, and then I'm going to tap submit. Be sure to upload with Wi-Fi, and as you can see, the trip was successful, but if it had not been successful, just like any of our other trips that may have a couple issues, there would be a message that popped up with the error. You can press done to navigate back to your logbook. And you can see that this trip was successfully submitted because of the little cloud icon right next to the word catches. And that just shows that you have successfully submitted your trip and it is in the database. In the left-hand corner of the individual log entries, you can see that the calendar is there, and that just means that your trip is also associated with a Hailout report. As always, if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, feel free to contact our 24/7 help desk. You can give us a call at 1-800-984-0810 or email us at support@harborlightsoftware.com. Thanks for watching!